Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pulling Around Show. I'm Chris Wilmot. This is my partner, Sean King. And today we are honored to have future Hall of Famer, April Larson. Hey, thanks for joining us, April.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm excited.
We've been following your career a little bit and watching a bunch of YouTube channels and watched that kind of heartbreaking loss to Allison Fisher over a spot
Yeah.
shot. But so tell us a little bit about April that people don't know, like about growing up outside away from pool.
Yeah.
Well, wait, let me brag on her first before we do that. For those of you who have not seen April Larson play yet, she's a professional pool player. She plays with the best of the best. She travels all over the country and sometimes the world to compete, and she's just gotten better and better. She was recently picked to play on Team USA against the world on a three-person team, which included one lady, and she was the pick. So we're going to talk about some achievements she's earned, but like Chris said, this is to get to know her. And I just had to brag on you a little bit before we start.
Thank you. That was definitely a dream come true, to be honest with you. So definitely going to talk about that at some point. But yeah, I mean, prior to pool, I started when I was 9. So there's not a whole lot before pool came into my life. But yeah, I mean, I guess the basic things to know about me is like I was kind of raised by both my parents and my grandparents. I was very, very close with my grandparents. They were my daycare. Instead of having to pay for a daycare, my parents would drop me off there, and they had a pool in the backyard. And so for the longest time ever, I thought I was going to be like a swimmer, right? Because I was like, I swim every day at my grandma's, right? And I tried every sport. I actually had to get tubes in my ear or in both my ears, because like water and April didn't get along. So it kind of killed that dream. And then tried everything. I mean, from t-ball, because I was a child, to like gymnastics, tennis. I mean, I did all sorts of different camps, and it just wasn't for me. And so the funny way that I tell this story, this isn't like the story I always say, but this is the funny story. And I figure since you're getting to know me, I'll tell you like the real story of how I started playing pool, which is my sister and I at the time did not get along like at all. We were down each other's throats, right? And my mom had bingo night Wednesday nights, and my dad had pool night with his whole side of the family Thursday nights. And when dad was at the house and mom was having fun at bingo, nothing would happen. We didn't test the limits or test the boundaries with dad. But when it came to my mom, we were like, this is our time to let loose and get wild and fight each other, I guess. I don't know. So my dad was getting really tired of hearing my mom call and say like, they're at each other's throats again, you need to do something, because he wanted to enjoy his night out. And so he took me with one night. He was like, you have no choice. You're getting in the car and you're coming with. I'm not dealing with this tonight. You can bring your homework, bring your books, do what you want, but you're coming. And I didn't realize that my dad's whole side of the family was there, and I love them to death. And I only see them, at like holidays at the time, right? Like the big get-togethers with family. So I ended up really like enjoying seeing them. And then eventually I got to the point where I wanted to hit some balls. And then there was a junior league that happened to be out of the pool room that they, played out of. And the rest was really history. I mean, my league director took me under her wing within like weeks. She saw how much I loved it. And then she kind of like said, you're going to go here, here, here. If you want, if you want to take this seriously, I can train you. We can get there. And it happened. And it was just like, I blinked and my whole life changed, it felt like. So, yeah.
Wow. So they had to split you two up, huh? And then that ended up.
Yes.
Okay.
So I thank my sister, because we're super close now. So I'm like, thank you so much for being my sparring partner.
Which pool room is this? Which pool room is this that lets 9-year-olds
Shooters Billiards in Burnsville, Minnesota.
Okay. And where do you live now?
I live in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay,
So
well, that's not close to each other.
no.
How long? How long have you lived in San Antonio?
So I've lived in San Antonio for about a year now. Before that, I lived in Dallas, like Louisville, right outside of Dallas, for about a year. And yeah, I mean, it's hot in the summertime, like way too hot. So I summer in Minnesota and winter in San Antonio is what I say. So yeah.
Okay, now what brings you to San Antonio? Why are you there?
Well, so what brought me to Texas to begin with was I had a deal with a pool room there where I was going to be the house pro. And after a year, it just wasn't working for either of us, right? It wasn't, I guess you could say beneficial, mutually beneficial. That's the word I'm looking for. So um, I had met somebody, her name is Carmel Luttrell, at one of the Centex tour stops down in San Antonio because it wasn't that far from Dallas, right? Like 4 or 5 hour drive. So I would go to those events and I met her and she said, "Hey, I have a upstairs, the upstairs has like a bathroom, a bedroom, like a lounge or a loft area. If you want to stay in Texas and live here, like I would be happy to have you." It was just her. And I was like, "Thank you so much." She had a pit bull and I love dogs. So I was like, "Thank you. I'll keep that in the back of my head." Fast forward a year later when I was moving out of Dallas and the offer was still on the table and I loved Texas. So it just worked out and yeah, everything has just been like falling into place, lining up with stars. It's been wild. So
Well,
yeah.
which pool room are you closest to right now? What's the closest pool room to you?
I think I'm closest to Bananas. But my like sponsored pool room, like my home pool room, if you will, is actually in Alabama. And I'm actually here right now at Iron City Billiards.
Okay, so you're in Alabama.
Yes.
All right. So do you actually live anywhere or you just
All
travel
my
all the
clothes
time?
and all my stuff is in San Antonio, but I am in Alabama about the same amount of time I'm in San Antonio. So it's wild.
Have you ever thought about getting one of those vans?
That's
Like
what
a
I'm saving
Sprinter
up
van?
for. And once I save up and I get this
Really?
van, I'll be everywhere. Nothing will hold me back anymore. Not like it does now, but I'll be gone. Gone with the wind. So
So
That's fun.
what's your next event?
my next event, I'm going back to San Antonio for another Centex stop because she actually runs the Centex tour now. And my roommate, that is. So I'm going to one of her stops and then I think I'm going to try to get into the Space City Open. I was originally planning on going home for Thanksgiving and staying in Minnesota until like the new year, but it's cold. It's cold up there. And that's a long time to be in the cold. The whole reason I moved to Texas is to not be in the cold. So I'm going to try to see if there's opening in Space City Open and go to that. And then the last event of the year is the WPBA in Rothschild, Wisconsin. So,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Let
Losing you, Sean. We
Oh.
lost you, Sean.
my God, one. When did that first?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah,
I didn't hear.
we lost you.
Oh, someone tried calling me. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's
No,
talk about the first win in a tournament that you had against adults.
oh my gosh.
You
Oh
remember
no.
it?
No, absolutely not. And that's terrible. Oh my gosh. Because I was playing against adults when I was like 10. That's when I started league with my dad. Oof.
Okay.
So
That's probably all you played against was adults, really.
yeah, I mean, really, other than junior leagues, it's always been adults. I do remember the first time like I gambled with my dad and I beat him, and it was like a pivotal moment in my life. But I mean, it was funny because my dad is the best. Like he's my rock. He has been my number one since day one, right? And uh he wanted to have fun, so he was like drinking beer after work, like letting loose, right? And he's like, let's play for $50. And I beat him, and I was like, Dad, like that's not fair, like you're having beer, right? Like it wasn't even, in my opinion, I was like, this isn't valid, right? I want to beat you when you're, and he goes, a bet is a bet, and you always pay your bet. That's the moral of the lesson here, And I was like, okay, like thanks, Dad, And it was $50, right? But at the time, it felt like that was like the passing of the torch moment, if you will. And yeah, it actually boosted my confidence
Did
a
he
lot
ever
more.
have a chance after that? Did he ever win after that? Or was it over?
I think he would win once in a while, and then I kind of like really took it seriously and started getting lessons from like Allison Fisher and the Atlantic Challenge Cup and whatnot. And so, yeah, Mark Wilson, I went and visited him. So he's my coach now. And yeah, I mean, I kind of took it a lot more serious than he did. So eventually there was a point where he couldn't help me anymore, and so yeah.
All right. So thanks, Dad. It worked out.
Yes. Thank you for that 50.
She's not a pool bum. She's a professional player. And besides the thank yous to the obvious, your family um, and the people that helped you get started, you've got some thank yous to say. You wanted to say your sponsors and
Oh,
tell them thanks.
absolutely.
So let's go ahead and knock that out.
Yes, please. Thank you. So I've been with Peach Hour Custom Cues since the day one. They're my family. Like I'm seeing them this Christmas sometime. I mean, wouldn't change it for the world. So they've been with me since I was like 12, so over 10 years, right? Iron City Billiards, where I'm at right now. I mean, he makes so much possible, and all the ladies, he's getting very involved with the ladies pool. Like he's having tour stops here now. So I think he's going to change the industry, honestly. IBA Pool Leagues is the pool league that I actually started playing pool on. So they sponsor me, and we're almost everybody on my team is like a family, which I take very seriously. And it's always like anybody that's on my team is on my team. We look out for each other, right? And Fort Worth Billiards
What's
is out
IBA?
of
What's IBA stand for?
International Billiards Association.
Okay.
Yep. So they're currently out of Minnesota, and I think a couple neighboring states, but the goal is I'm going to try to expand and try to make it more nationwide, right? And then Fort Worth Billiards is out of Fort Worth, Texas, and they're a billiard superstore, so like a supplier of like all things billiards, and it's the nicest superstore I've ever seen in my entire life. So it was a no-brainer to add him to the team, and I was grateful that he did. Dunsky Dungeon, he is like my promoter slash manager, right? He kind of, I bounce everything I need to ask questions about, off of him, as well as my dad. We're kind of like a trio. But
would you say he's like one of your agents or your agent?
Yeah, that's a good word. Yes. Yeah, anything I need, he's like, I got it. if it's anything that I don't have like the connection, he'll make it, like he does a lot for me. Castillo leather cases. I have used his case for probably more than 5 years. He made me this gorgeous sparkly case I have now. Jam Up Clothing Apparel makes pretty much all of the clothing, it seems like, at they merged with the Pro Billiard series, I believe, and so they make their shirts, and are at all of the Pro Billiard series stops. And I've been with them for 5 years, I think, is what I just went back to see how long I've been with them. I've been with them for like 5 years. They're the best people ever, Mindy and Damien. I'm with Kamui, Pool Shark Billiard Club. I've been with Kamui since I was like 15. Pool Shark Billiard Club is Joe Peach Hour's sons, Riley and Jake. And you're going to be seeing a lot more coming out with that. So I'll leave it at that. Mike Jacka, Artie Demirius, and Todd Adamski are all individuals who do a lot for me. They are just huge fans of mine, and they're family. First and foremost, they're family, but they're huge. When I say fans, I mean supporters, right? Like they want to see me do well, right? So yeah, I want to help support them as well. So hopefully someday they get the return of what they're investing into me, is I guess what I can say. So, and then next year,
All right.
I have a really big shout out for next year. My cousin is actually going to sponsor me. He owns a 18,000 square foot vintage, like antique mall, and has a coffee shop in there. And he's going to sponsor me and try to do like meet and greet events, or, you know, where they supply coffee to like a tournament or something, you know, like we're in the works of something really great. So, yeah.
Are you a coffee drinker?
Yes. Not like coffee, chai tea. I drink Starbucks every day. It's a sick obsession. Chai tea lattes with oat milk. It's like a cinnamon explosion in your mouth. It's delightful.
There
I'm
you
not
go,
old enough.
guys. You know our favorite drink.
I'm not old enough to drink coffee yet.
Yes.
All right, so I got a question.
I
Chris, what
understand.
do you
I
got?
understand. I'm naturally just,
I've got a
That's
question.
a lot of sponsors.
Oh, it is a lot of
yes.
sponsors.
Yes,
But
I'm
You
very
should be
blessed.
proud of yourself. You've earned every one of those.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to have like a whole team of people that, you know, will be there no matter what. I mean, they've been there for basically my whole career, you know, and they've never gone anywhere. I've never gone anywhere. So it's nice to know you have people that believe in you no matter what. So,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, so here's a
Chris?
question that I just made up. Okay, so
Okay.
one, should there be an all women's Moscone top event?
Yeah.
Okay, if there was, what American women would you pick for your team?
Oh my gosh.
Four. There's four.
Yeah.
So you're number one.
Okay.
Captain Larson.
Captain Larson.
Man, that is so tough. That is so tough. There are so many good women players coming up.
So no
Man,
pressure.
And young
I know
ladies.
that's a tough question, because there are literally in my head, because I've been talking a lot about juniors and how strong the juniors that are coming up are in the women's field, like Savannah, Sophia, Kennedy Mayman, Myman. I say Mayman and it's Myman. I need to get that better. Yeah, and like the Tate family. So it's hard when there's that group of really strong, you know, youngsters, and you know, a strong group like Carolyn Powell, you know, and Kaylee McIntosh, right? I'm gonna miss somebody, and I know it's gonna backfire on me. I know it. But
Oh well.
I'm not trying to set you up at all.
oh yeah, no, I know. I'm really trying to think, because I think Kaylee would be a really good pick. I think so. It's four others other than me, correct?
Yeah.
You're in.
Okay, so I would pick Kaylee and Caroline, I think. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Janet plays good too. Oh, okay. Probably Janet, and then one of the juniors. That's what I would say. Because if Monica were playing, I know she's wanting to get back on, then she would no brainer be on it, right? Along with Jennifer Beretta. They would, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think Jennifer's done. That's why it's like so complicated, because I'm trying to remember who's playing, who's not. I'm like, but yeah, if Monica were playing, she'd be on the team. And then I think it would be really good to have like one of the youngsters on, any one of the like four that I mentioned, right? I think it's really good to have somebody who has a future. What's that?
Let's talk about those youngsters. At the level that they play right now,
Yeah.
Did you play at that level at their age?
That's a tough question. Like a lot of people have asked, you know, like, how do you think that they compare to when you know, and it's almost impossible, you know, because in my head, I'm like, man, the players that I would play against were tough. I mean, you're looking at, you know, Christina Tkach is who I grew up playing against, Amber Chen, right? Like now current world beaters, right? Um,
Mhm.
it's tough. I mean, I feel like they're almost better. I think that they're situated in, I mean, for sure at 12 and 13, for sure better than I was. I guarantee that. I guarantee that they were better than I am, or that I was at 12 or 13. Um,
Yeah.
I think that any one of them could come up to be, I mean, Sophia just silver medaled, right? I mean, in the juniors, right? So I think the last time we had a silver medal was, I mean, we had Mary Rakin win, and then I think Brianna Miller silver medaled for America. So I mean, I really think that they are stronger than I used to be, and I think that they have a great future ahead of them. I mean, if I'm getting the opportunities I'm getting at my age, I mean, only imagine what they're gonna get, by 23, 10 years. They have 10 years. So
I led the torch for them. I mean, and
So,
did you lose them too?
Sean, your reception's bad. Man, but we lost him. He'll jump back in.
Okay.
So tell us what was your most heartbreaking loss?
Ooh.
One that you have a tendency to not be able to put out of your mind.
My most heartbreaking loss would probably be, I mean, just recently, to be honest, like this was pretty heartbreaking, against Jasmine. It wasn't because like she gave me a hug afterwards in Puerto Rico, right? It was just such a hard fought battle. It could have went either way, and I missed the like third to last ball, the last rack, because I was just so nervous. I was so nervous. I was just like, make the ball. And I was focusing on making the ball, and I actually missed it. I was trying so hard to make it that I missed it. And that was heartbreaking just because that first match is really important in a team match to get under your belt. And then it kind of like sets the tide for the rest of the match. Um, yeah, so that was heartbreaking because I look up to Jasmine, and to have snuck that out would have been probably one of my greatest achievements, right? It was either going to be one of the most heartbreaking or the greatest achievements, right? So that one was tough, and a lot of battles when I was a junior. I mean, we had so many good juniors coming up. I lost to Christina 9-7 at Junior World Championships in Russia. And of course, I'm ecstatic for her, right? But we played, she even says, she's like, I mean, that was one of the best matches we've ever had in all of our, battles against each other, because we both played really well. It went 9-7. I scratched on the break. She ran out and broke and ran. Like, and that's all that match wrote, right? And then I lost to Amber Chen the next year in the same. So I got bronze medal both years. Those were pretty heartbreaking too. So those hurt. Not because I'm not ecstatic for them. That's what I want to make very clear. It's just to be that close both times, right? And just be that close, right? So yeah.
So what were you asking, Sean, before?
Oh, I forgot. I got cut off there.
I think we were talking about like the youngsters, Savannah, Sophia Kennedy, the Tates.
Yeah. Do you mentor them a little bit? Call them up and talk to them, or what?
I talk with Kennedy a lot because she is from Minnesota as well. And so when I lived in Minnesota, we would play all the time. And when I come back, I play with her all the time. It's harder because Savannah and Sophia are, I mean, Kennedy's busy too, but like I have more of like that direct line to her. Savannah and Sophia are super busy, all over the place. And I don't ever want to like interrupt or, overstep. But when we hang out and stuff, I try to be I try to mentor them like mentally and like talk to their parents and just be like, it's difficult. It's very difficult in like being number one, a female in a male dominant sport, and coming up from such a young age, because in reality, right? I got really well known, we'll say, really well known really quick, right? And then I had college, right? I had life that I needed to take care of. And to go from being so well known to like taking that time off that you need to, right? Coming back is very difficult. And I just, I knew that it was going to be difficult, but I feel like everybody expects you to improve at the same rate, right? Like it's one linear, like positive rate, right? And that's just not how it happened, you know? It's just not. Like I got really good quick for my age at the time, and then you kind of like slow down, getting better, and then sometimes you plateau, you know, and you learn things and you make jumps, but a lot of it is just maintaining that level. And if you get that next jump, awesome, you know, like that's what you're always striving for, obviously, but that plateau is very hard to be in, you know, because you always have to stay relevant, right? You have to find a way to stay relevant even if you're in that plateau. So just mentally I try to tell them like you're not alone, right? Like you're not alone. You're going to feel very alone and you're not alone. Like if you're ever unhappy with your game, you know, like I don't know how to explain it. It's just such a mental game. And I feel like women need to stick together definitely in this sport. And we need to encourage each other and we need to be there for each other. And yeah, I really, I try to be there mentally for them because that's where I lacked a lot of when I was younger, was the mental strength to get through matches, to not let stuff outside of pool get in my head when I'm playing pool, right? So I know that that's a long
You kind of have
but
you kind of have two different personalities. Like when you're on the table, I know you're polite and have great sportsmanship, but you're a killer. Like
oh, thank you.
you're not you're going for their throat. I know.
I'm trying.
And then
That was the hardest part for me.
When you're off the table, you know, you're like everybody's best friend.
I try to be, you know, life's too short. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, Chris, I got some random ones. What do you got?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. You asked about our toughest loss, right?
Mhm.
Or recent, yeah. When was the last time you cried because you lost a pool match? Or didn't perform well?
It's more recent than I'd like to admit. I cry a lot. I cry so much. Listen, this is what I explain to people. You can call me a baby. You can call me immature. You can call me like, I can't take the pressure. But here's the thing. I have realized about myself that if I hold it in, like I will drive myself insane because I need the release and I can't, like, how do I say this? Like, I mean, swearing doesn't really help, right? Because there are a limited amount of swear words, right? You can only say so many in your pillow as it's like shoved against your face. But tears are limitless. So just cry until you're done, right? Like, I don't know, just until it's all out, right? Just let it out.
And you just feel better. You just feel better after.
It's wild. Like I used to feel so ashamed, like, oh my gosh, people would think I'm such a baby if they found out I cried. Listen, that means you care. And I like I'm emotional, and that's just, I mean, a puppy dog video could make me cry. Like, I mean, it's genetics. I'm telling you, my whole family's like that. So I don't feel bad for it. It helps me.
Okay.
So
I'll ask an easier one. No, I knew that one was a little tough. Thanks for being honest with us.
Of course.
I figured you were a crier.
Yes, I have no shame.
Let's talk about Mark Wilson. Let's talk about Mark Wilson and some of the things that stand out. Obviously, you can choose about any coach you want there, and you choose him.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about why, for some of those who don't know everything about him. Well, why is he your coach?
Yeah. So I went to Lindenwood University in St. Charles, Missouri. because I got a scholarship to play pool, you know. It was the only college in the country that had a scholarship to play billiards on the billiards team. It was not, however, the only college that had billiard teams, right? That was a misconception in my head. I thought that was the only one that had a team, but it's the only one that has a team that's, funded by the school. So we created a really, really strong bond. He was like my dad, like my second dad, when I moved down to Missouri for college. So on top of that, like, again, it's very important to me to feel like you have my back and I have your back, and like you'll always be there for me. I'll always be there for you. And I just felt like he would always be there for me and always want the best for me. And he's not fake. He's like genuine, the most genuine human being ever. And he genuinely loves pool. Like, I look at him all the time, and what he says to me, which I say to everybody now, is like, I just love pool. If something good happens or something bad happens, whether it's real or sarcastic, if you say it, like, you'll eventually mean it, right? If you keep saying I love pool, you're eventually gonna, if you're going through a lull or whatever, like, you're gonna love pool again, right? So he always helps me get into a super positive mindset if I feel like in a lull, really. I mean, if I ever feel discouraged, if I ever feel like I'm not going anywhere, right? I'm playing exactly the same for all this time. He's really good at getting you out of that mindset and saying, like, tightening your fundamentals is so important, right? He's like, well, what I've noticed just this last time, my backhand had like crouched up, so it wasn't at a 90-degree angle when my tip was at the cue ball. So that moved back, which helped a lot. And my cue, like the tip of my cue was not all the way up to my cue ball, so that moved up as well. Like, he's really good at fine tuning everything that could have gotten sloppy in the time frame, right? That now all of a sudden I feel like I've plateaued because I'm not as tight and concerned about, my stroke and my fundamentals. So he's really good at getting back, keeping it stupid simple, right? Like, just go back to the basics, drawing board. You know how to play pool, right? We just need to make sure that wherever you got lackadaisical, how do you say that word?
Lackadaisical.
Lackadaisical. Thank you. Wherever you get that, that we just tighten that up, and then it makes the world of difference. What's that?
We just call it lazy.
Yeah, lazy. Yes.
So I know you've got a path or a plan ahead.
Mhm.
So, you're 23 now. So where do you see yourself at 30? At 25 and then 30?
At 25, my all-time dream in my entire life is to get on the World Games Team USA, because that's our Olympics, right? I've missed out by like one spot both times, or been in the running very, very close, right? Both times, when I was 17 and when I was 22, I believe. And so those were heartbreakers for sure, but I'm super happy for the people that went. Please don't get that twisted, like, super happy. And I want to earn it, right? So I don't want to just be put on it to be put on it. I want to earn where I belong. So I really want to earn a spot on it. So by 25, I hope that I'm looking at, I think 2026 would be the next World Games, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm looking at hopefully being on that team. And then by 30, I want to be a world champion. I want to be able to have that under my belt. So, yeah, we were close.
What game?
What's that?
Any game, or is there a specific world title?
If I could do all, that would be delightful. But I would probably say I would want like 9 or 10 ball, right? That's what I play most of, and that's what, like, a lot of the competition is, playing is 9 ball and 10 ball. So, yeah.
Okay. I keep getting cut out of here. I guess the service I've got right now sucks, but if I get cut out and don't come back one of these times, you'll have to finish without me.
Okay.
Chris.
All right. So
Chris,
can
what
can
else
a
you got?
can a female be on the Moscone Cup?
Not to my knowledge. To my knowledge, I don't think that. I don't know if it's we're not allowed. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know if we were to like get in the running points, right? If we would, if we earned our spot, I don't know. I don't think we're allowed to. That's what I heard last. I don't know. I haven't really spoke directly and gotten like a fact check on that, but that's kind of been my mindset is that we're just not allowed to play on it. So
That's discrimination.
I think
well,
that on
hopefully
the
someday
first
that changes.
Moscone Cup there, the first Moscone Cup had women on it, I heard.
Yeah, I had Jeanette Lee, Allison Fisher. I can't remember if that was it, but I feel like Vivian might have been on. I don't know. And I think there was another. So maybe there was like two per team, but I think that was the only time. So that used to be my dream until I found out, that I don't think that women are allowed, period. Then I was like, oh, okay, I guess the World Games are going to be my new dream come true. So
Playing some of them open events and dominate them guys and
yeah, just
show them you belong.
pitter patter. Let's get at her, eh?
That's right.
Okay, random question. You get to pick one female Scotch doubles partner that still plays, that's active, to be
Okay.
your Scotch doubles partner from anybody anywhere in the world for the cash,
Oh.
like for your car. But you get to pick your partner, Scotch doubles.
Oh man.
Does Allison still play?
Yeah,
She does, yes.
Or
Oh
Kelly?
gosh.
Or Simon Ching? Or who are you picking?
I would pick Christina Sketch.
Yeah?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that what's really even it's hard not to say like Kelly or Allison, right? It's very hard not to say Kelly or Allison. I mean, obviously that would be impeccable, right? However, I think that Christina and I are like great friends off the table, right? Like sisters in this world. So I think that camaraderie, like I learned this trip in Puerto Rico, how important how your team makes you feel is to like performing well, right? I'm not saying that Kelly or Allison wouldn't. And I truly believe I would do the same with either of those two as I would with Christina. I just really think that would be like our lifelong goal together to like,
okay,
like how cool would that be? Like two best friends that grew up playing pool together, win a world championship, win something, in doubles. I think that would just, I think we would have no pressure on each other, right? Like we're just out there having a great time. And that's when you honestly play the best. So again, I think I would have the same with Kelly and Allison. I just think that, it would be really, really fun to have two same aged females, right? In the same spot in their career, do it together. That I guess is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, should we talk about your love life?
Oh, good timing. Oof. That's yeah. So
Next question.
Oof. Yeah, we'll put it like this. I'm trying to think of the politically correct way to say this. As of like 2 days ago, I am perfectly okay saying I am completely single. There is nobody, I'm involved with nobody. And I think it's a good thing for me. Or in fact, I know it's a good thing for me. So no hate, just different paths. You know what I mean?
You're married to the pool table.
Yes. Yes,
I'm
I
gonna
am.
have to start a poolplayersonly.com.
You're right.
No.
Oh,
behind every great pool player is someone who doesn't play pool. I just bet that.
Ain't that the truth?
And not to offend anybody, but what Earl Strickland say? Pool is a beautiful sport played by ugly people.
I mean,
oh man, I don't know how these couples do it. Like Josh and Pia and Tyler and Margaret.
more power to them, though. I mean, the fact that they can figure out how to make it work and they can be loyal to each other and they can like push each other to their next, like to limits that they didn't know was possible. I mean, that's incredible. Like Federer and
Yeah.
Christina, I mean, they're powerhouses. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, I
That
won
was-
my wife in a pool game, so I mean,
there you go. There you go.
I said I won Shannon in a pool game, so
Wow.
that person might have been dumping, but still, no, I'm kidding.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to say it
Okay.
loud enough she could hear because she's in the other room, but
That's hilarious.
she heard.
Okay, so Christina's single, guys, and you know what her favorite drink is if you were listening earlier.
Who is?
I said, well, I'm not Christina, April. We said Christina.
Yeah.
I said April is
I was like, I'm
single,
sorry if I said
and
she's
you all
single.
know
She's
her-
definitely not single.
She's not single.
Yeah,
You're
no.
single, and these guys know your favorite drink now. You already told them.
Yes.
Starbucks
So if you
every
show
day.
up with a iced chai tea latte from Starbucks, you got action, Jackson.
It's a good start. It's a
Good
good
start.
start.
What if they're better at using pool though?
We'll just have to play for the next Starbucks drink, I guess.
Okay. How often do you get to coach and work with other people where you're teaching?
So it's very difficult for me to. I've had this conversation with a lot of people. When like in between, like 10 and 15, I had help. Don't get me wrong. Like that's when I would go train with Allison, and I'd go train like here and there with other people. Right. It was very sporadic. Right. But for the most part, it was just kind of me hitting balls nonstop from that age to that age. Like that's when I really jumped. Is I loved it so much. I craved it. I would wake up at noon. I would play pool until how I used to do it was I would play pool until I broke and ran a rack. And then I would do it at like 5 p.m. At that time, it was an accomplishment for me to run a rack at that time. That was like, okay, I can go to bed, but I never wanted to. So, what ended up happening was I was just like, okay, I have to run another one and another one. And then it would be 5 a.m. and I'd go to bed, wake up at noon and do it all over again. So basically that relates to your question because it's hard for me to explain what happens, right? Like why you do what you do and why what happens. It's very difficult. I'm like, I used to try to train my sister and pretend like I was trying to help her, right? So I was like, I set up a bank shot and I was like, you hit it here with this spin, and she made it. It surprised me that she made it off of what I told her to do. And she goes, okay, now what you need to do is tell these people why you hit it like this. You know, you need to be able to say that so that they can remember, so that if like a different, just slightly different scenario pops up, they can do it. I was like, however, if it's a different bank, you don't hit it like that. And she's like, why don't you do that? And I was like, I don't know, but that's just what happens. And so, if a player is like just beginning, I can do a lesson and I can teach them, you know, like the basic fundamentals, right? But if they have really good form and they're looking for like kicking and banking, I mean, yeah, I can't in words say how I, you know, determine a kick or a bank, you know, like it's wild for me. So, I guess you could define that as like a feel player. I'm a very much like a feel player, and I just kind of rely on my fundamentals because that's what Mark is very big on. But
yeah,
I also don't want to like,
Mark.
yeah, and I also don't want to like steal other coaches like material, right? That's not cool to just be like, yeah, this is what I just got, so let me just regurgitate it. You know, I'm taking their, you know, their potential customers, right? And the whole point is to send them and help them in return, right? So I struggle with that.
Go see Mark. Go see Mark.
Yes, exactly. And I'm really busy, so it honestly I don't really have a lot of time to be able to coach, but like if people ask questions, I'm gonna tell them, you know what I mean? Like I want to help them, and it's just very difficult for me to explain like in an hour or 2 hour or 3 hour session, like, and keep it busy, right? Like think of everything that I can, because sometimes too much is too much, right? Like I don't know when to stop. I'm like, and this is what you do with this, and this is what you do with this, and they're like, I'm overwhelmed, and I'm like, me too. So it's almost not good, you know, when you say way too much stuff, because then they can't remember any of it, right? So yeah.
So you're a
Saying too
part.
much stuff. Should, should we wrap this up?
Hold
We'll
on.
meet again another day.
So your Fargo is it's 662 right now.
Mhm.
So what do you feel that you need to do to be the first American female to get to break that 700 mark?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about that a lot. I don't really know how it works. I know that my robustness is like 5,000. I don't. If I understood
49.93.
more of what's that?
49.93.
Okay, so 5,000. Okay, so I feel like if I knew more of how it worked, right, like what affects it more and what doesn't affect it, you know, I would be able to give you a better, more solid answer. All I know is I feel like if I continue my goal to be on Team USA for the World Games, I believe that can only benefit. Like if I continue my goal of where I want to be, I'll let the number just do what it does naturally, right? Because you know, sometimes you let your goals be like the sole focus, but you need to enjoy the journey, and sometimes what you want to happen will just happen naturally, right?
Yeah,
So
because then when you get to 700, you're going to be like, okay, well, now I got to get to 720
exactly.
or whatever.
You'll never be satisfied ever, you know. You always want to be
You
the best version.
You could go if that was your goal, which it's not. It's the one that Chris is saying. I guess you could just go ahead on all the 699s, check them off one by one.
Yeah.
Just look on the list and all the all over.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you're not wrong. I could just sit there and take them away just one at a time. That's all it takes. So
it's a kill list.
Oh, you're talking about people? I was talking about points. I thought you meant like 1 point at a time. Sorry.
No, I meant like go find the one that's rated right there and just pick them off in order.
I gotcha. I misheard you. Yeah, I'm really good friends with all of them, so I don't want any beef. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, everyone can't be friends. I mean, you can't be friends with everyone.
That's true. There's
Maybe
a song that I listen to where the lyrics say, no matter what you say or what you do or how you, like, it's just basically saying like, no matter what you say, do, you know, think, how you pray, anything like that, like somebody's gonna feel some type of way is literally what it says. So after hearing that, I'm like, you can't make everybody happy. You know what I mean? So as selfish as this sounds, you really got to put yourself first. And, you know, if you have the opportunity to make somebody else happy or, you know, do something for somebody else, you take advantage of it. But at the end of the day, like, no matter what you do, you know, you're not going to always be friends with everybody. And I thought I could be friends with everybody. Like the naive little girl I was like, I'm going to make everybody my friend and make everybody like me. And it's not possible. So. Yeah.
Okay, Chris, I'm running out of questions.
Okay, we'll wrap it up. April.
Okay.
Hey, I appreciate you joining us. I enjoyed every bit of it, and I wish you nothing but success in everything that you do. Guys, I want to thank y'all for watching another episode of the Pulling Around Show. If you like stuff like this, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and let us know how we're doing. And we'll see y'all next time on the Pulling Around Show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, April.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.